All right. This one is kind of in reaction to ISC this week, where I saw the Scorpius. They're still showing it, and the more I think about that ship, the more I think about the Ares Ion nerf and how everybody freaked out. This ship has what, 8 size 3 weapons, something like crazy like that. 4 on a turret above, and 4 on each wing. It's like an X-wing looking fighter, and I watch Avenger 1, a lot of his videos to try and get better at PvP and things like that. And he had a video that came out about a week ago about the prediction and what he thinks is going to happen. Is the ship going to be OP? Is it not? And yeah, I think he's an authority on combat, ship combat for people in the Star Citizen community as far as a content creator goes. So why not take a look and see what's going on? I don't know. I don't really know much about the ship. I don't know if the wings are size 2 or size 3. Aimless is saying that in chat. I don't know, but we'll have to take a look. So let's see what he says, and yeah, maybe we'll find out a bit about it.
Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy.
Let me move myself. I'm in his way.
So I've been getting a lot of questions about the Scorpius recently. Since the Scorpius is coming out in 3.17, I decided to make a predictions video. I'm going to tell you what I think about the Scorpius, and we're going to find out if I was correct. Because I have a sneaky suspicion the Scorpius is going to be... it's going to be a little overpowered.
Okay, yeah, all right, we're on the same page.
I wanted to kind of look at this brochure, and let's see if we can't find any common trends / common well, I guess you could say would it be marketing strategies, or
yeah,
who knows, right? Be. So let's take a look, right? Let's take a look at this.
I mean, the first marketing
Star
strategy on this ship is
version
the look.
of the X-Wing. It says the very definition of a game changer. Well, when they use words like that, one tends to think that the ship is very, very powerful.
That's scary.
So, what we have...
That's scary. We shouldn't be saying things like that.
Right now for heavy fighters, we have the Vanguard series, which again is extremely powerful. We have the Hurricane, which is the best 2-seater ship in the game. Yep. No doubt about it. The only competition to the Hurricane would be maybe like a double-seater Sentinel with the EMP, but we all know how I feel about that. It says a lethal enforcer. See, here's the thing. Like the Scorpius, one taste of that turret and the local gangs packed up. Oh, God. Rail-mounted remotes. Well, what happens when the local gangs are using the ship?
Yeah, the gangs are going to use the ship. What do you mean the gangs are going to pack up? What PvPer wouldn't use this thing? Nobody's packing anything up. It's going to be Scorpius against Scorpius like it was Ion against Ion. Are you kidding me?
Didn't think of that. And also, what is with this obsession with CIG strapping turrets onto everything that's a fighter? Like, I'm being serious. Like, why does every fighter need to have a fucking articulating turret? I don't get it, like, if this is supposed to be the competition for the Hurricane,
I feel, well, this is a single-seater, though, right? I feel like they're trying that whole AI blade thing that we know nothing about, never seen, it's never been a thing. Like, but it has been a thing in games past for, I think, like Wing Commander and things like that. Is the Scorpius a 2-seater? Oh, this whole time I'm thinking this thing is a single-seater. Okay, so this is the answer to the Hurricane. I don't know. I want to hear what he has to say then. I was told... I thought this was a single-seater the entire time. So this is RSI's answer to the Hurricane. Okay. Now that we're here, 2 minutes into the video and like months into the sale of this ship, all I looked at was like, yo, it's the X-Wing. Cool. I guess the X-Wing is technically a 2-seater. Right? So, yeah. Whatever. But I now kind of want to hear what he has to say about the turret thing. Because I think people really do like the Hurricane, right? People enjoy the Hurricane because of the two-seater aspect, and it's powerful, and I imagine that's kind of fun. So they went and were like, hey, we want to make more of these. Like, why wouldn't they? For me, it was the whole AI blade thing that I was thinking about. Like, maybe they want to put a lot of turrets on ships because they want you flying forward, but if there's someone behind you, the AI blade can shoot behind you. That's where I was going with that, but now that you guys helped me out, it's like Vanguard Hurricane class ship, and that's why he mentioned those two. Okay. Now I understand.
There's no question in my mind that this ship will be grossly overpowered when it comes out. Because the way that the ship is designed, if you look at the turrets, it's the fact that it's got 4 size 3 guns, which are much more powerful than 2 size 4 guns, which is what the pilot for the Hurricane has. You have 4 size 3s on the turrets, so you have 8 size 3 guns shooting, which means you're probably, being a heavy fighter, most likely going to have quite a lot of capacitor as well when it comes to it. So, you know, everything about this ship to me screams like overpowered.
Yeah. Same.
You know, its physical profile is obviously one of its downsides, like the Vanguard, but like, for God's sake,
but it's also its upside if you're CIG and want to sell 1 billion of these things. Look at it. It's beautiful, dude. So yeah, he's looking at it from like a usability standpoint. It's big. The wings are long. You could probably shoot them off, and then this thing is down to just its turrets. So there's disadvantages to it for sure, but the advantages from a rule of cool standpoint, I don't think there's a better looking fighter out there. If
it has 2 size 2 shields, like I don't even know what its hard points are. Does it have 1 or 2 size 2 shields? We'll have to find out. Hopefully it's only got 1, but I got a sneaky suspicion it'll probably have 2. It's just like, you know.
Wait, there's a rear turret? There's also a rear turret that watches your back? What?
Yeah, same coverage as the Hurricane. Built in the case of the Scorpius, you'd be thinking.
That's right. I remember this. This sale was so long ago, and for those of you guys know me on the Twitch stream, but if you guys end up watching this and we end up posting this on YouTube, I have a terrible memory. That's right. It moves from up here to the back if it needs to. That's really cool. Right? So, like, you could press a button, and if the pilot ends up in a situation with somebody behind them, you can move the turret into a better position. That's kind of cool. That's wild.
You're dead wrong. A turret on
it's on the rail. It goes back. I remember now.
Oh, well. Not when you give it 20-degree auto gimbal zone, CIG. I mean, how can you not have it be clunky then? Convertible space frame. Yeah, again, right? The profile of the ship, you know, that's its only downside, is its physical size. It's actually quite physically very large. It's about the same size as a Vanguard, which is what some people sometimes, I think, misunderstand, is like, you know, I know this is not the same ship, but the X-Wing is literally 1/4 of its size. Like an X-Wing wingtip to wingtip could fit on the inside here where these engines are. So like the X-Wing would be here on its tip and then here on its tip. It could fit nice and inside the size of a Scorpius. Scorpius is grossly large.
Yeah.
But again, it's a heavy fighter in Star Citizen. So, you know, what can you do here, right? Okay, here we go. Here's the
it's a heavy fighter and it only has 2 size 1 shields for now. That could definitely change. Yeah, that's interesting. So he's going to go through this right now.
Generator 2 times small shields. Okay, so we have 2 size 1 shields. Which, thank God. 1 size 1 quantum drive, jump drive, life support. That hasn't been put in the game yet. Again, right? So here's my prediction.
Tell me.
I think the Scorpius is going to have a little bit more maneuverability than the Vanguard. I think we're going to be sitting with the Scorpius at around 14 Gs on its main acceleration. I think.
Okay. It's just stopping there. Isn't the Vanguard like pretty maneuverable already? And that's kind of like why it's such a used ship and why people think it's like kind of. I've hear people complain that it's kind of broken. It's all right. All right. I guess there was a time where it was, and now it's not, maybe.
I think she's going to have pretty good acceleration on her side thrust, probably maybe anywhere from like 8 to 10 Gs. Her retro thrust, reverse thrust, probably sitting around 4 to 5. You can quote me on these numbers, guys, because this is my prediction, right?
Okay.
I think overall her DPS, like when we get our guns, like I feel like the Scorpius, as assuming the weapon balance and stuff stays relatively similar to what we have now, you're probably looking at 50 to 40 to 45 to 50 rounds in a burst, like in a charge. So you have pilot guns with 45 to 50 rounds in a full charge,
endless,
and then obviously about 100 for the turret, right? So it's a lot of applied damage. And I think in terms of its jerk profile, it's going to be more precise than the Vanguard. I think it's going to be more responsive because they literally bill it as a responsive, you know, flexible ship and all that stuff.
Okay.
So I think it's going to be more responsive and a better fighter in terms of its ability to negotiate a fight than the Vanguard. I think it's going to, it already has more DPS with 2 people, right? And even with 1 person, I mean, you're still, you know, laughing all the way to the bank, right? In terms of DPS. The only way I can see them getting this ship, because like we were sold the Hurricane as the glass cannon, you know, this ship that you know, is small, it's fast, it's used by highly experienced pilots, you know, but it can't really take a hit. Well, CIG has made the Scorpius, and it literally has become the new Hurricane in the sense that it has 2 small size 1 shields, assuming, unless they change it when it comes out, which is possible. You know, it's got more DPS now than the Hurricane, but slightly less tankability, and also it's physically very large. But again, right, like if your ship is like, if it's got the maneuverability profile it's looking for, I mean, nothing is going to survive being in front of a Scorpius. So this idea that CIG has with the Scorpius, like I don't see this thing being anything but crazy overpowered, especially with the turrets being 20-degree auto gimbal zone. I mean, how do you, like, the Hurricane already is like the best ship in the game, because when you put a gunner in the Hurricane, like it's just insane. But the Scorpius seems like it'll be good just on its own. So you know, my gut tells me the ship is going to be crazy. I think its turn rate's going to be anywhere from high 30s to like mid 40s, like a
some of these stats I don't understand.
39 or a 42 or a 43 for its turn rate. So again, you can quote me on those numbers, right? Because this is my prediction. So 14 Gs acceleration on the main thrusters, probably anywhere from 35 to 45, anywhere in there for turn rate. Probably going to have a lot of forward-facing DPS. Probably going to have its 2 size 1 shields, which it does have. Either that or it'll have a single size 2, which I feel like is probably more likely when it actually comes out. And then they might drop it down to 2 size 1s after the initial couple weeks of the ship being out, because we all know that happens. And probably it's going to be the biggest kid on the block. I mean, everyone's going to want one. Everyone's going to want to buy one. It's probably going to be a very widely sold ship. I mean, it looks okay. It's a decent looking ship, not going to lie.
It's beautiful.
But, you know, like a lot of things when the new ship comes out, right? New ship comes out, you know, CIG's been following this trend, and I'll call them out for this stuff.
Okay.
CIG's been following a trend where when a new combat ship comes out, it's usually the top dog.
This ain't a new
it's
trend,
usually
buddy.
the top dog. It's usually so good. You know, I mean, when the Ion first came out, there was no difference. The ship absolutely slapped. You know, and that can also lead to a lot of drama, because people get used to the ship being effective or being at a certain level, and then all of a sudden it gets pulled back to where it kind of should be, and people get upset, right? So, you know, maybe if CIG hopefully has learned from these lessons, they've learned, like, okay, let's not release a ship being wildly crazy overpowered. Let's kind of talk to our more active pilots to say, like, okay, where do we kind of want to ballpark it? If you're asking me, CIG, I would say you want to sit this thing at around relatively the same maneuverability profile that you have the Hurricane set to. Right? Have it to the same as the Hurricane, maybe slightly more, because, you know, it is a physically larger ship, so you want to give it some negotiation, right? But I don't agree with this ship design. You know, I really don't. They need to do something with turrets so that they become more skill-based, because having the 20-degree auto gimbal zone is just absolutely ridiculous. And there should be a way that we can force our turret forward so that the pilot can fire all 8 guns. I don't see why we need to have 2 people.
Is he contradicting himself like crazy here? What? You have to make the choice here between 2 ships and 1 ship when you're using turrets. You can't use that turret. There's no way. You can't have 8 guns flying forward that only you have to negotiate. I think that's sort of the challenge. I agree with them initially. We need to make turrets a little bit more skill-based, because I think it is nice to be in a turret, because it tends to be hard to follow targets when your pilot's moving and all that stuff, right? So making it easier is a thing. Maybe they do need to be more skill-based, because I do find sitting in a turret quite boring, at least when fighting NPCs. But then he says, like, we also need to be able to just fire all 8 guns forward. That's kind of crazy to me, but okay.
You know, I would much rather see some slave gimbling going on here, right? So, because I'd rather have 2 pilots in the Scorpius. Or sorry.
Okay, so Bullets in chat said exactly why in the future, 1,000 years in the future, they can't lock a turret to just a pilot if alone. Because this isn't 1,000 years in the future in real life, dude. This is a video game, and things need to be balanced. What are you talking about?
I'd rather have
No
2 Scorpius pilots than 1 Scorpius pilot with two people, right? Yeah, because it's just
okay, hold on. Let's go back to what he's saying.
Scorpius pilots than 1 Scorpius pilot with two.
Go back
There'd be a way that we can force our turret forward so that the pilot can fire all 8 guns. I don't see why we need to have 2 people. You know, I would much rather see some slave gimbling going on here, right? So
He just doesn't
because
like
I'd rather
turrets.
have 2 pilots in the Scorpius. Or sorry, I'd rather have 2 Scorpius pilots than 1 Scorpius pilot with two people, right? You know, because it's just more effective on the battlefield. And if they want to promote multi-crew and stuff, well, you don't. In my opinion, like doing it in a fighter, you know, I'd like them to keep the multi-crew fighter stuff down and get multi-crew more of a bigger ship thing,
though?
right?
Why?
To me, that I think would probably be healthier for the game. That's just my opinion, though, right? I mean, it's nice to have some dual-seater fighters, right? But you know, we've already got the Gladiator, which is dual-seater, and again, there's functionality coming up for the torpedo ships later, which kind of makes sense, right? So dual-seater for that, sure, but I don't see why you couldn't do that with a single person. You know, so there you have it, guys. There's my prediction on the Scorpius. I think it's going to be grossly overpowered. I think it's going to be, like I said, those numbers. It's going to be sitting around those numbers. And I think for the first couple weeks, you know, it's going to be like a better Vanguard. That's really what it comes down to. It's going to be a better Vanguard.
Okay.
So we'll see. We'll see what happens. We'll see what the Star Citizen X-Wing can get up to. So
I just don't
if you're in the market...
I just don't think he explained himself as to why he doesn't like turrets. Like, I still don't understand why he doesn't like them from his conversation about it right now. I do get how maybe you would want 2 Scorpius pilots over 1 Scorpius pilot and a gunner, but why he doesn't like the idea of the genre of ships in general. I think once you make a Hurricane and it's pretty successful, you would want to have one of those for each manufacturer, and that's basically what CIG does with their ships, right? Is you have a genre of light fighters, and then you make as many for each manufacturer as possible, medium, heavy, multi-crew, and go on down the line. Once they put out the Hurricane, they created this genre of ships that now they need to fill a lineup for and give you choice. But I do understand his point of they are kind of skillless at the moment. But I think arguing for more skill more than just taking the guns and pushing them forward and making like the most overpowered vehicle of all time is not really the answer. I don't know.
For a Scorpius, guys, I'm sure you'll have a lot of fun flying it when it first comes out, so enjoy it. But yeah, that's my predictions, guys. My thoughts on it. I think it's a cool ship. I think it's got some potential, but ultimately I think it will be overpowered when it comes out, and it'll be balanced, and probably
people will get pissed.
I don't see why I would want to pick this fighter over other fighters, you know? Because if I'm running a carrier-based platform, you know, I'm going to be able to have multiple fighters, you know, whereas with the heavy fighter stuff, you know, I get, you know, I guess it's nice.
But that's why the wings fold.
That they don't require to have an Idris and stuff, but effectiveness on the battlefield, I think something like a carrier platform with lots of light fighters and medium fighters, I think will ultimately be more effective than having heavy fighters that don't require that extra logistical support, but do sacrifice a little bit of obviously being a physically large profile and also not having the same kind of effectiveness and negotiation in a battle. So we'll see. Yep, I think she's going to be OP though. She's going to be crazy. So tell me what you guys think. Leave something in the comments. Tell me what you guys think. If you're excited for the Scorpius, if you're not so excited for it, who knows, man? It might be dog shit when it comes out, or it might be what my gut says, probably like a better Vanguard. And so we'll see, guys. Take a look at Predator mounts, guys, if you're interested in getting dual sticks for your a mounting system for your dual sticks. And
and Monster Tech mounts as well. You know, use code Mike for Monster Tech mounts. So yeah, 5% off. So yeah.
And also, thank you so much for all the love and support, guys. I hope to see you guys out for the next stream and the next YouTube. And I'll see you next time. How was Avenger 1? And I'll see you next time.
All right. Thank you, Avenger. Guys, that is Avenger_1 on Twitch and YouTube. So, again, I linked the video there. We'll link his socials and stuff if we do put this one up on YouTube or not. So yeah, that's interesting. I agree with him. I do think the turret stuff is weird. I think that's definitely a discussion worth having. I mean, guys, turrets, before they made the change to make them easier, were incredibly hard to deal with to the point where nobody ever used them. So let's remember those days where turrets were awful. They balanced in the direction where maybe they're not that great in terms of the balance for PvP. Maybe they're a little bit too overpowered. Maybe they don't have the skill that players like Avenger and, you know, even to some extent myself would want to see in the game. But I think this game is not just for Avenger 1 and not just for pilots that are really skilled like him. They're also for people that aren't. So I'd like to see skill in Star Citizen, but I'd also like to see accessibility in Star Citizen, and it's an incredibly hard balance to balance the game around PvP, but then be accessible to everybody. That's what's really tough, and I think CIG is trying their best there, and so far not really succeeding at that. But hopefully, one step at a time, we'll get to a place. And yeah, I agree. I think the turrets probably have to be scaled back a little bit. I don't know how they should or what we should do to do that, but I do kind of feel that that's what should happen. But anyway, again, Avenger, thank you. Appreciate it. And